US-backed Kurdishled forces fighting Islamic State militants in Syria have said they are waging the final battle to uproot the extremists from Raqqa, once the terror group's de facto capital. The battle could take hours or days, said Mustafa Bali, spokesman for the Kurdishled Syrian Democratic Forces. Losing the northern city of Raqqa, in many ways the symbol of his caliphate, would be yet another blow to the group and its reign of terror in the region as its strongholds crumble one after another in Iraq and other parts of Syria. His militants are desperately fighting in a number of neighborhoods in the city, Mr. Bali said. They are still able to fight, but they will no longer determine the fate of the battle, he said. Our forces are waging the final phase of the battle of the presence of Daesh. The Arabic term for is in Raqqa. We have not decided if this battle will last hours, days or weeks. Over the past days, mediation efforts by local tribesmen and the civilian council have secured the release of a number of civilians from Raqqa. Council official Omar Alush said 100 IS fighters surrendered to US-backed forces. US officials have said only surrender, not a negotiated withdrawal for IS, would be accepted. Hundreds of terrified civilians have been filmed fleeing towards the Syrian Democratic Forces from the last remaining neighborhoods held by IS in Raqqa before the anticipated final battle between SDF and IS. Earlier this week, US officials said an estimated 4,000 civilians were believed to be still trapped in the city. A new video that emerged on Friday shows desperate, terrified residents emerging from destroyed districts, some of them collapsing on the ground in exhaustion as they arrive, in haunting scenes reflecting the years-old ordeal. Militants seized Raqqa in 2014, the first city to fall under the full control of the extremist group. It has since become synonymous with his rule of terror in the region, with civilians punished in public killings over the slightest perceived offense, videotaped killings that have shocked the rest of the world. It was also from Raqqa, which became a destination for foreign fighters from around the world, that many of his attacks in the West were plotted. The latest battle for Raqqa began in June, with heavy street-by-street fighting amid intense US-led coalition airstrikes and shelling. The battle has dragged on in the face of stiff resistance from the militants and civilians trapped in the city. On Saturday, the SDF said it seized the Al-Nada neighborhood in Raqqa's western sector. A day earlier, IS carried out an offensive on SDF forces near the city's main hospital, and its fortified headquarters. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, a British-based monitoring group with activists on the ground, said negotiations over the fate of foreign fighters who remained in Raqqa had delayed the final push to regain control of the city. SDF officials deny there are talks to evacuate IS fighters.